feature that we want to introduce maybe once every couple of weeks. Just some updates from Jamaica in terms of business news. We're gonna next week. We're going to have we're gonna be telling you about some consular matters. You know how you can complete your passport forms correctly and become a Jamaican citizen. Some of those matters we'll have an update on that next week. But today it's about we'll have Nick Sutherland, we'll have Josh Stern who'll give you some information how you can prepare for the upcoming 5K. And we'll also have David Mullings on today talking about supporting Hope Gardens, a place just down the road from me in Jamaica. So when I saw the feature, I was moved by it because that's that is something I'm close and dear to my heart. So we're gonna have each speaker today, but before we always start with a word of prayer. And my co-host is Dr. Nikki Bent, out of Houston, and I'm gonna allow her now to Dr. Jones just to select somebody to pray today. I don't know. We should get a gentleman to pray. I don't know why I think Stephen Grant would be a good person to pray today. A
That's
young man.
hilarious.
Huh?
That's hilarious.
Stefan, can we nominate you today to just open a word of prayer for us? And then I'm going to ask Sheikah Anderson at the end to close word of
Sounds
prayer,
good to
right?
me.
So at the end of the serve, end of the call, right? Stefan, yeah, I'm sure you didn't see that one coming, but I think we're gonna ask you to.
Yeah,
to start with.
I definitely did not see that coming. I had to check the calendar, like, oh, it is April Fool's today, but it's all good. It's all good. Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it putting this together. So everybody, let's bow our heads and close our eyes. I just want to give thanks for this day and give thanks for life. Give thanks for the opportunity to congregate with fellow Jamaicans all around the country who care about the progression of the island and the progression of our people. Good Lord, I ask that you continue to watch over us. I ask that you continue to guide us. I ask that you continue to bless us through everything that we're trying to do for the community here and abroad. I ask that you continue to bless us through Hurricane Melissa relief, and thank you for everybody who's contributed and given towards the bettering of our island and everybody there. And I ask that you continue to bless us and guide us through all of our endeavors through the 5K run, and you continue to guide us towards being a healthier island, a more progressive and productive island. And in your name, I pray. Amen. We pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yes, thank you
Pastor
very much.
Stefan, we never know.
All right. Yes, that sounds good. Health Your Nation. I like that you included that. Definitely good. All right. Well, moving along with our agenda. Again, as
Dr. Jones.
Consul General said, we have latest business updates with Mr. Nicholas Sutherland from Jampro, the manager for new market development. Nicholas Sutherland?
I'm trying to.
We hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay, sorry. I thought I'm probably unmuting. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. I was very happy when Consul General Mair invited me, and I'm also in such prestige company as Dr. Bent Jones, Mr. Stern, and David Mullings, who is another old friend. So let me start off by saying Jamaica right now is we've overcome a lot of the effects, we're in the process of overcoming the effects of Hurricane Melissa. We've seen where the economy shrank a bit last year, but looking at the preliminary outturn for October going into December, the fallout has not been as bad as some would have expected. So we're seeing where the outturn of about 7.5% contraction is better than what was initially projected, where we were looking at initially about 13%. We've seen the government make a lot of initiatives reaching out to Western Jamaica to try and bring back not only housing, irrigation, basic services, but how to support the SMEs operating in that region. What we've been very fortunate about with is that decades of consolidation has really reduced public debt from well above 100% of GDP to an expected level of below 60 by the end of 2027. And we're actually, despite all of the ramifications of Hurricane Melissa, we're still in line to achieve those goals. We continue to make improvements to doing business in Jamaica. We've seen where the company's office recently has moved core business filings completely online. So effective today, April 1st, the company's office of Jamaica will begin to transition 9 core compliance filings to online-only format. This ends the in-person processing for these services as part of an ongoing digitization drive. So even if you want to incorporate a company from outside Jamaica in the United States, you can now start that process from overseas without having to come into the company's office in Jamaica, which we know on any given day can be quite crowded, quite tedious. The transition will be rolled out in 2 phases. Phase 1 will start today. We'll move to business name renewals, business closures, letters of good standing, and status letter requests. Phase 2 is actually going to roll out in July 1st. This will extend the mandatory deadline filings for status quo and annual returns, status quo beneficial ownership returns, and registered office notices, among other things. This is really trying to streamline service delivery by reducing processing times and increasing the convenience and expanding access to its services. So we're really leaning into this digital transformation, which will benefit not only Jamaicans at home, but those overseas doing business in Jamaica. As to some sectors I wanted to highlight, as we know, tourism is basically the lifeblood of Jamaica, and probably the greatest single industry employer outside of government. So we've seen where tomorrow, the Eclipse at Half Moon, an iconic Jamaican resort, will actually reopen tomorrow. Bahia Principe, Runaway Bay, is actually going to reopen by the end of this week. For this weekend, actually, I believe they're opening today. They had a lot of repairs and renovations they did after Melissa, but they really fast-tracked all of those. We've seen like Sandals, for example, has just announced a big investment across service Jamaican properties, some $200 million to redevelop damages and to improve the infrastructure based on what happened with the hurricane damage which they experienced. So that includes Sandals Montego Bay, Sandals Royal Caribbean, and Sandals South Coast. Now, the thing about Sandals investing at $200 million is because they obviously see that we know that tourism will bounce back to previous numbers and surpass them. We know that we're seeing tourists coming back in greater and greater numbers to Jamaica. So there is no doubt in our minds that as more and more hotels begin to reopen, the travel agencies and the brokers will start sending more people here, and people want to come back and see what recovery looks like. So it's really heartening to see all of these things happening. We also have seen a new Royalton hotel is scheduled to open in Runaway Bay by the middle of next year. It's going to be a 350-room property. It's going to employ about 700 workers. They had some slight damages because they were in the initial parts of construction. So because they're at the initial part, the fallout wasn't as bad for them. They could actually, they're keeping on schedule for their finalized, not only completion of construction, but opening of their doors. We've also seen more and more Jamaicans investing in Airbnb hybrid models, a mix of apartments with half of them being designated for Airbnb with built-in concierge services inside that apartment building. So you'll have some of them where half of the people are either owners or live there long-term rental, and half of the building is being rented through Airbnb in a management agreement with the owners of the property and the owners of individual apartments. There is a big space for that to be developed on the North Coast, like kind of mixed use. It's something which is very popular in certain countries. In Latin America, they call them apartment hotels. So it's basically apartments, but they also have a hotel aspect to them in terms of concierge services. I'm looking across at some of the people who are participating, and I see a good friend of mine, Sonless Martin, from the Miami Port Authority.
Welcome, Sunless.
Several times. I've done a tour of the Port of Miami. And, we've been working together for the past year almost in connecting the Port of Miami with operators like CMA, CGM, and Jamaica producers who operate the Port of Kingston. And we're seeing that integration, which continues to happen with Jamaica as a logistics hub. It's a growing logistics hub. We're currently in the Caribbean Ocean. The Port of Kingston has the most ship calls out of any other port in the Caribbean Sea. So what that means is we're having more and more companies doing logistics, order fulfillment, and final stage processing in Jamaica. So that's a huge opportunity for people in the Jamaican community overseas to come back, start logistics companies, influence the companies that they may work with to look at Jamaica as a warehousing hub for distribution into Latin America and South America and even other parts of the Caribbean, because your warehouse costs here are going to be far less expensive than, for example, somewhere in Florida. And it integrates because of all of the ship calls. And there's an organic and very symbiotic relationship between the Port of Miami, among others, and the Port of Kingston. So we see more and more interest in companies, even just doing warehousing here, to take advantage of the amount of ship calls, which can allow you to ship out to the Eastern Caribbean, ship to Central America as you get orders.
Okay.
Another area I wanted to highlight, which I know is near and dear to not only CG Mair's heart, but many Jamaicans, is agriculture. As we try to expand more and more markets in the United States, my job is actually foreign investment attraction from Latin America, Asia, and the Caribbean. So I do a lot of work in Latin America. I've been seeing a trend where farming conglomerates in the Dominican Republic and Costa Rica have started farming Asian fruits, things like dragon fruit, rambutan, which is kind of like a lychee, longan, which is a version of a lychee, mangosteen, durian, and jackfruit, which we actually do have in Jamaica, muscat grapes, and kumquats. Costa Rica has now become the biggest dragon fruit exporter in the Western Hemisphere. All the other places which are bigger are in Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam. And we've seen the Dominicans and the Costa Ricans lean heavy into this space. So what they're doing is they're talking to American importers and say, look, why are you buying dragon fruit, rambutan, mangosteen from Thailand, where you can buy it from us and our shipping time is anywhere between 4 to 7 days, as opposed to you waiting 6 weeks to order it from the United States. Now, I know many people talk about coming back to Jamaica, investing in growing akis and all these Jamaican fruits. But as somebody who worked for Grace Kennedy, Lasco, and for Del Monte in Central America, the future of our opportunity lies in our soil quality and the ability to grow a lot of these tropical fruits for much higher margins. And you can sell into the large Asian communities in New York, in New Jersey, and you're selling across a scope of nationalities to include the Vietnamese, the Thais, the Malaysians, the Singaporeans, some of the Chinese, slightly different in Southeast Asia than China, with something like mangosteen and durian transgress all those areas. And I think it's a huge, huge opportunity for Jamaicans to come and grow non-traditional crops. These things would not be subject for issues from paleolastic. There's no market in Jamaica for it. And you can now compete by selling these products from a nearer location. And we all know that the Americans are talking about nearshoring. And not only nearshoring manufacturing, it's nearshoring purchasing. And I think it's a really good opportunity. When we've seen just recently, I was in Trinidad, and a major Trinidad investor, who is one of their biggest businessmen in Trinidad, he's not involved in agriculture. He actually just started, I think it's about 23 acres where he's growing dragon fruit for export to the United States. So I think that's a huge opportunity, and Jampro is here to provide any support we can in terms of access to the Agricultural Investment Corporation, the greenhouses and lands that they have available for lease. But I firmly believe this is the way of the future, along with other high value crops being sold in Whole Foods like melons, avocados, nectarines, plums, tangelos. So
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, my daughter, for one, loves jackfruit.
yes. So I think that's a great opportunity, and that's where I'm going to.
Not a favorite of mine, but sure, I like that idea that you mentioned.
CG Mair said keep it short and sweet. So
Right.
that's my spiel for this month.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sutherland. Thank you. And that's Mr. Sutherland of Jampro. All right. Thank you, sir. I see some people here. Sunless Martin, Cherie Miller. Stefan agrees with everything you're saying. It looks like a lot of nodding. Julian Lee, Denisha Denal. We appreciate you coming back weekly to get information. I know that Consul General Mair wants to make sure that the USA Southern region is well informed and that there's great representation across the region. And of course, he maintains his relationships with Jamaica, of course, as with Mr. Sutherland. So moving on with it.
Mr.
Sorry?
Sutherland, what about the OTET apple? How we can make that the #1 apple selling around the world? How can
Native to Jamaica, right?
Exactly.
You have to unmute. Yeah, okay.
Let me say that I have come to Jampro in the past 8 years after working with Del Monte being the biggest out of Central America. I was based in Central America, selling to the Caribbean, working for Alaska, working for Grace in export. My personal belief is that you can't create a demand. I think what you have to do is take an advantage. So the Dominicans didn't decide to sell more of their traditional crops, or the Costa Ricans. Their entrepreneurs and their business people said, where is the trend and where can we grow it nearer or cheaper or with faster turnaround times? So I do not believe, I would not invest in a company trying to make OTET apple the bigger and grow that market. I'd invest in a company who's going to grow dragon fruit and kumquat and Hass avocados, which the Americans prefer, and making my margins there. That's my position.
So work with that existing demand rather than trying to create one.
Exactly. High margin, not only high demand, but high margin. That would be my position as a former business development manager.
So we have some comments in the chat. Cherie Miller said it's a fruit native to Hawaii, and she found out that recently. And it's sold in some places as a Hawaii export. And then we have Michelle Williamson, who said many of those fruits only grow in tropical climates like Jamaica, so they may not fare well in other climates.
Well, they'll grow well here. That's the point, that if it grows in Thailand and they're growing some of these fruits in somewhere like the Dominican Republic and Costa Rica, we can grow it here for the most part. Berries and cranberries and blueberries are a challenge because they demand so much water, because something we've looked at for blueberries, high water concentration. But a lot of these other crops have very similar soils, give or take pH balances between Southeast Asia and Jamaica. We sit in a very ideal location of tropical fruits.
Right. We have Stefan Grant with a question.
Before you jump in, I just had some technical difficulties, but just wanted to endorse what Nicholas has said. And many a times, nothing wrong with planting ackee, and nothing wrong with all the root crops that we have been promoting, and we still are promoting. But sometimes the hotels in Jamaica need these niche items that we can grow in Jamaica, but nobody's thinking about it because that's not part of our culture. And so here, this is a unique opportunity. And it's not everywhere you're going to hear this information, guys. And people will quickly go for the watermelon, the cantaloupe, the honeydew, the cassava, the mangoes, and we're endorsing all of that because they're on the needs list for the hotels, right? But again, because nobody's planting some of these items like jackfruit, the dragon fruit, and the mangosteen, there are some opportunities there. So the volumes may not be as high, but you can supply the hotels because they will have guests who need them, and also export opportunities, as Nicholas mentioned. So listen, I'm mindful of the time, guys, because we have two more persons to present. We can take one question here, and then you could type
Yeah.
the questions in the group, and then we could take them probably at the end. But Nick, you can hear the great feedback already. People are very excited
Yeah.
about your presentation. So we're gonna put
Very
you
good.
down for another
Follow
visit
up.
to us. Yeah.
All right, Stefan, your question. You'll probably be asked to unmute. You see where
Yeah,
you're
Oh yeah, there
Jason.
we go. All right, cool.
All right.
First of all, Mr. Sutherland, thank you for taking the time. I think everything you said was extremely interesting, especially for someone like myself. I don't want to take up too much time, but I think, and you might agree, but I think that there is a big intersection between tourism, some of that apartment hotel model, as well as farming some of these fruits, because Jamaica is already known as, Ital and Rasta, and has that culture of natural eating. If you can have some of that tourism and the farmland, and you're growing some of these tropical fruit, you can almost have an Appleton tour experience, but on the farming side. So it's more like eco tourism type of vibes, So I think that there are multiple revenue streams involved in that. And on the government side, for people looking to invest, if there can be some kind of incentivization where they get some kind of land discounts if they're using that land to farm specific fruits and vegetables that Jamaica might need, I think that can spur some investment. I would like to invest, and I think others might like to invest as well. So I think that there might be some intersection there on multiple fronts. So I'll leave it there.
Oh, the young people investing in Jamaica. That's a great idea.
Thank you, Stefan. And the government is looking at certain initiatives and seeing where some of the land we have been formerly using for sugar can be used for other crops. I think we have decided in discussions we've had that when those come up for a long-term lease, the best thing for us to do is look at persons who are going to take a certain amount of land and start to utilize it in a set period of time. I don't think we should be telling them what to grow. They have to grow and employ Jamaicans doing farming, and they'll figure out their business model, whether it's going to be kumquats or whether it's going to be Aki. They've got to figure that part out. We shouldn't be trying to guide business persons. We're the government.
Right.
Business is not our forte. And in closing, I just want to mention something that Oliver set up. And I think I shared this with Oliver a while back. A good friend of mine is an electrical engineer, and he does a lot of work with the hotels. And he heard some of the Mexican-owned and Spanish-owned hotels complaining about they have to ship in all these jalapenos, and in their operations in DR, although Dominicans don't eat jalapenos, there's a lot of farms that farm jalapenos for export and for the hotels. So he decided to lease 6 acres of land, and for the past 9, 10 years, he has been growing jalapenos and selling them exclusively to the hotels. That's his side business that's become quite profitable. And he has no predial loss issues because nobody wants to buy it. He doesn't sell to the supermarkets. He sells straight to the hotels, and he's making quite a nice income from growing jalapenos just for those hotels. So that's
Thank you.
I wish I had thought about it earlier myself.
All right.
Never.
But thank
All
you
right.
again for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right.
All
We
right.
have a few more minutes left in the call here. We'll hear from David Mullings in a minute, but first we'll hear from Coach Josh Stern. He'll talk about the High 5K walk run on May 9th, the Consul General's High 5K run. He's a USA track and field level 2 coach. He's certified strength and conditioning training specialist. So here we go, Mr. Stern.
Hey everybody, thanks a lot. Consul General Mair. It's a pleasure working with you, and I appreciate you bringing me on the call to talk about the Jamaica High 5K happening in about 6 weeks. I'm going to talk about how to prep for a 5K in 6 weeks. If you've never done it before, and people are like, what are these 5K things? It's 5K is 3.1 miles, 5,000 meters, and 5 kilometers. Yeah, the most important thing, before anybody trains for a 5K, the most important thing, if you've never done it before, get checked out by your doctor. Make sure that, there's nothing hiding there that you don't know about, and that you got that okay to, get your heart rate elevated for a little bit. And then second most important thing, which I stress to everybody, and maybe I'm not guilty, I'm a little guilty of it doing myself, but sometimes we got to make sure we're have the proper nutrition in our diets. Um, so make sure if you're gonna go start training, you're not going out on an empty stomach. You don't want to get too full. You don't want to be, throwing up after the run or during the run. But you want to make sure that you're eating properly, not fast food. You're eating some like whole grains, fruits, vegetables. And also another key important thing before you start an exercise program is make sure you're hydrating. Not just the day before, not just right before you run, but leading up to it every day. You want to, at least be having, 3/4 of a gallon to a gallon of water a day if you're going to start a running program. And it sounds like a lot, but if you break it up throughout the day, it goes quick. The other key component to the hydration is electrolytes. And I'm not talking about electrolytes like Gatorade. I'm talking about electrolytes that you'll find in coconut water, electrolytes that you'll find in Himalayan salt. Those are key, things that you can add to your water. You can put a little bit of coconut water in your water. You can put some Himalayan salt in there, and that's stuff that'll slowly build up the electrolytes in your system. And that way we don't get the cramps and we don't get the soreness after the run. We can recover our training a lot quicker as well. Um, the next step before you start a training program, so you don't get injured, you got to make sure you got the proper shoes. You can go to any specialty running store, and I don't mean like a Dick's Sporting Goods or a Champs. I mean, go to a specialty running store. They got them in whatever area you're in. Just look that up, and they will bring you in there. They'll measure your foot. They're not going to give you the shoe that looks the best. They're going to give you the right one for your feet and the way that you run. They're going to look at your form and they're going to see if you pronate or supinate, whether you land on the inside or the outside of your feet when you run. They're going to see the strike pattern on the soles of your shoes, and they're going to put you in the right shoe for you. So that's really proper that you get that fitting done as well. So with all that said, now we can start training. You got all the right tools. The next thing that I'd suggest maybe you get is a smartwatch. It doesn't have to be a fancy, expensive one, but this will help you monitor your heart rate and know the exact training zones that you should be in. Because a lot of times people just start running and they're like, oh, my heart rate is getting too high, I got to stop. And all of a sudden they don't want to run anymore and they want to stop. But if you do it smart and you listen to your body and you have those key biofeedback mechanisms like a heart rate monitor, you can know the exact times at when you need to bring your heart to certain levels, when you bring it down, how far to bring it down, and when to start bringing it up again. So I'm going to go over some training zones. So let's, take some notes here if you're really, really interested in it. And I can put these in the chat too when we're done. If you're going to go in a warm up, you want to take about 10 minutes to get your heart rate up to about 50% of your max heart rate. Well, what's a max heart rate? A max heart rate is basically you're taking the number 220 and you're minusing your age. So as we get older, our max heart rate drops. So let's say I'm 40, my max heart rate's going to be 180. Let's say I'm 47, my max heart rate is going to be 173. So that means that when I'm running, I don't ever, if I'm sprinting, want to go above that number. If I'm a trained elite endurance athlete, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can train at a higher heart rate because I'm used to it. But as someone who's just starting out, we don't ever want to go that high. What we're going to do is we're going to warm up. We're going to start for about 10 minutes and take a very slow jog, walking fast into a slow jog to get up to about 50% of that max heart rate. And once we're there, that's where our training pace zone is going to start. And the training pace zone is going to be about 50 to 75% of that heart rate. So the reason I'm going into this thing is I'm going to give you a step-by-step 6-week program, and you're going to stay in that training zone. You want to work your way up for about 10 minutes. Then for that remaining 20 minutes, you want to try to stay in that 50 to 75% zone. Now, you're starting out. Do you have to try to go 30 minutes straight running? No, absolutely not. The goal after 6 weeks is try to get you moving for 30 minutes straight. So the first week, what we're going to do, you're going to take 10 minutes and you're going to try to get yourself up into that 50% of your max heart rate zone. Then your actual training plan for that first week is try to just do 5 minutes in that training zone. Once you're at that 50% level, you warmed up, try to stay for 5 minutes in that training zone. It doesn't have to be 55%. You can say 52%. If you can do 60%, great, but just stay somewhere between that 50 to 75% of your max heart rate. Then take 5 minutes, go back into a recovery zone under that 50% of max heart rate. Then 5 minutes back into that training zone, 5 minutes into the recovery zone. So then before you know it, you got 20 minutes done and you got your whole 30 minutes of workout done. That first week, you're going to do that every day, Monday to Friday. That same thing, 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. Then on that Saturday, so we're going to have 5 days of that training. That Saturday is going to be a little time trial, a little test run. So in that first week, you're only going to try to do 10 minutes nonstop without walking and trying to stay in that 50 to 75% zone. So you're going to do 10 minutes of a warm up, then 10 minutes trying to stay in that into that training zone. And then afterwards, do that 10-minute cool down. Week 2, we're going to do the same pattern, but what we're going to do is we're going to increase that training zone by 1 minute. We're going to decrease that recovery zone by 1 minute. So what's it going to be? Before we were 5, 5, 5. Now we're going to be 6 minutes in the training zone, 4 minutes in the recovery zone, 6 minutes in the training zone, 4 minutes in the recovery zone. So what we're doing is we're gradually increasing the amount of time we're going to try to run for, elevating our heart rate a little bit, and then decrease the rest time. A lot of times what makes us better isn't how long we can run, it's how quickly we can recover in the recovery zone. So when we train our body to recover faster, that's what makes us a stronger runner. It doesn't make us a stronger runner by running faster longer. So that next week, that Monday through Friday, we're going to do that same thing. 6 minutes on, 4 minutes off, 6 minutes on, 4 minutes off. Then on that Saturday, what we're going to do is we're going to increase that long run, that 10 minutes that we did the week before, we're going to increase it by 2 minutes. So we're going to try to do 12 minutes nonstop and then recover for 8 minutes.
Mr. Stern,
Yes.
you have a link to the program, the weeks 1 through 6?
I can cut it, paste it, and I can send it to you guys in the chat, or I can email it. If you send me an email, no problem to do that.
Please
Yeah,
put
that
it
would
in
be
the
good.
chat. Please put it in
That
the
would
chat.
be
We'll
good.
also send it out an email.
But
Awesome.
we just want to leave some more time for one more speaker.
Well,
Yeah,
but before you go, I have one question for Josh. In these hard times, these special shoes, are they affordable?
You get I'm gonna be totally transparent. They can get pretty pricey. They can, but they also have shoes that are for every age or every income bracket, I'd say. But when I say they're pricey, they're not a shoe that you're gonna go buy a new shoe every month. You know, you're gonna use them for a while, you're gonna invest in them. And the reason why I say it's a good investment as a runner, if you're gonna start running a race, the effects of running in a bad shoe, one that doesn't have the proper sole support, the ankle support, the injury can cause you a greater financial hardship later on. So it's really important you invest in yourself and the safety, that you need. And runners, really our safety is our running shoe.
And you did mention recovery time, so that's part of the recovery,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so you definitely, if you don't have a good shoe, these specialty running stores, I see someone put, Runners Depot on there and Davie and Coral Springs. It's a great place to go. They have Running Wild in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Everybody there is really knowledgeable. They can put you on treadmills, analyze your gait, and put you in the exact shoe you need to be in. But the gist of the training program, I'll put it in there. You're basically increasing that time you're going to run by a minute, and you're going to do 4 sets. You're doing that training pace on, then decreasing that training pace by a minute on the recovery until you get to that last week where we're trying to do 10 minutes or 9 minutes on, or 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, and then trying to do 10 minutes on, 1 minute recovery, 10 minutes on. And then that Saturday, you're going to try to go 20 minutes straight. And then that next one is the race day. Race day, we're trying not to stop at all. So, I'll put this in there. And if anybody has any questions, Consul General Mair's got my contact info. I'm happy to, I don't charge for it. It's a hobby of mine. I ran D1 in college and did a couple of years pro in Europe, and I'm happy to help anybody. It's just
Thank you for sharing.
All right.
So not just a physical health benefit, but there's also a mental health benefit, right?
Yeah.
Endorphins, feeling good.
Yeah, I can't tell you, a lot of people sometimes they're so stressed out, and that's the biggest thing. We have all the stress in our lives. We don't sleep right, and sleep is the biggest culprit sometimes. All we need to do is get a good night's sleep and do a little bit of exercise, and you'll be amazed at how much better you're going to feel. And especially if you're training for this Jamaica High 5K, if you go there feeling good, you're going to have even a better time because all the music that's there, you got all the patties that are there, all the food. It's a great time.
Sounds like somebody who knows a little bit about Jamaican culture.
Oh, I know a little bit, yeah.
No, and I'd like to big up Josh. Listen, the 5K is about the diaspora being healthy and also raising money for clinics back home in Jamaica. And I want to say a big respect to Josh, who's not Jamaican, who has been supporting the 5K for the past years. So big respect to you. In the chat, you'll see the link for the Jamaica High 5K. And for those in Georgia who want to know where they're doing the 5K in Georgia, there's also the WhatsApp group link for those in Georgia who want to do it. Coach Stern, thank you very much for all you do for 5K, and thank you for today.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll also share a flyer for the 5K in Houston. You know, it's a simultaneous run across different cities. So Atlanta, I know, participates, Houston, South Florida, and a lot of other cities are going to join now, right? Motivated to join. So wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, we want to shout out some folks here. Alicia Gone is doing a 5K promotion at her church this Easter Sunday. Oh, yes, Easter Sunday, Good Friday coming up. Dr. Claire Nelson is one of the founders of the Caribbean American Heritage, is on the call. She's a founding member of the month. And Dr. Claire Nelson from the National Caribbean American Heritage Month is she saying hello? Is she on? Camera on? Not sure. All right. And yeah, a lot of good information today. Miss Gail Chung from Texas, Miss Carlene Rose from Texas. Yes, you see how my pitch get a little higher when the Texas people are on. Never fair.
The Texas Gladysation that you bring off is very serious.
I was glad for a little good Texan. All right, last but not least, but our wonderful Mr. David Mullings.
David Mullings, CEO, founder, and chair of Blue Mo Holdings, former Jamaica Diaspora Businessman of the Year. He believes he can play football well. You know, we'll see how it goes. But ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Mullings.
Of all the ways he introduced me, this gentleman says that I believe that I can play football. So that means, you know, if it's a CG here because we have a witness, you know, we have it on video with me dribbling around the CG, but we will move forward with the meeting. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here. I see some very familiar names and faces on here, so big up to all of you guys. The CG reached out to me this morning and asked me to just spend a few minutes on here because I'm in Jamaica. We signed a memorandum of understanding yesterday, well, Monday, with Hope Gardens, the Nature Preservation Foundation is what manages the Hope Botanical Gardens here in Jamaica. They have a shortfall, and they've been focused for the last few years in trying to tap the diaspora to support it. Part of the problem was that they needed a fiscal sponsor in the United States, as you know, which would be a 501c3. So when we donate, we get a tax deduction because we might as well get the tax deduction. We had launched Blue Mahoe Charitable Foundation because of Hurricane Melissa. We launched earlier than originally planned. And one of our investors out of Philadelphia reached out to us, Blaine Stoddart. And Blaine had asked, he sits on the board for the Nature Preservation Foundation, and asked if we could use the Blue Mahoe Charitable Foundation, just set up, to be their fiscal sponsor and not take 20% of the money that gets donated. They were seeing some insane
Sorry, David.
Yeah.
David, 1 second. I was on mute for a long time trying to get my producer to unmute me. So I have to do something. I must personally thank Josh for that presentation, guys. You have no idea the valuable information you just received. He's one of the best in the business. And I want to challenge anybody on the call who registers 5K. www.jamaica5krun.com. If you register for the run on the call, I would like you to type it in while this call is going on. I would like you to type it in that you have registered. All right, because it's a major part of today is also the promotion of the run. So I broke your flow deliberately, David, because I want persons here while you're listening. If you have not yet registered and you register now, just put in there, just registered, so that we can personally acknowledge you. Nick, you're in Jamaica, you can fly up for it, right, and be a part of it. And before David starts, I have been going to Hope Gardens from age 7. It's just down the road from me. Hope Gardens is near and dear to my heart. When I heard David's outreach, I reached out to him today because it's something we need to support. Hope Gardens is a national treasure. and whatever support. I know the individuals there who work at the office, and any way we can support them is well appreciated. It's a great initiative. So I had to say that before David continues, just to endorse what he's doing. And back over to you, David.
Oh, well, thank you very much for that, CG. And for you guys, make sure you sign up for High 5K. I will be there as well. I'm not running, I'm walking. And I've walked for the last 3 years, CG. So we look forward to
That's right.
supporting it as well. In terms of Hope Gardens, they did reach out and there was a push, as I said. They wanted to tap some of the diaspora. They've had people offer to donate, but the people wanted a tax deduction. So they needed a partner. Our team, we had an executive director back in November for the charitable foundation. I put them together and we were able to agree on our way for us to create a separate account, be their fiscal sponsor, and we're launching a push. They have a budget shortfall of 550,000 US. So the government of Jamaica gives them 60 million Jamaican dollars a year. They need another 90-ish million, 88 million Jamaican dollars to do what they need to do. So this is, for example, getting the fountain working again, bringing back their orchid house that they don't have, paving the roads. They do have a master plan that's been updated so that they can ensure they earn additional revenue. Some of you know that they've held some big events there, some concerts last in time recently with Protege and Chronics. They want to build a sound wall so that they can actually hold more events and not have the community complaining about the noise problems. And that would allow them to generate more revenue. They have a plant nursery that is there. So there's a lot more that can happen. I grew up just like the CG right next door. I learned to ride my bicycle in Hope Gardens. I played cricket, football there, got to the maze. I grew up going to Coconut Park. So it matters to me personally. On that morning, on Monday morning, Blaine Stoddart, who is on the board and encouraged us to partner, he committed $1 million Jamaican dollars that morning as the first person. So we're rolling out a campaign that will allow you to donate as little as $1. What I have said to them, though, is that I don't want them to come to the diaspora every year and beg us for money. We all know this happens too often. So I've said that over the next 3 years, I want to make sure we shift to an endowment fund model. So when you donate, you give once, you can impact forever. Right? I sit on the board at University of Miami. We have an endowment fund. You give us money once, we'll invest the money, and the earnings from the investment then gets to come forever and impact positively for what we're going to do. So Jamaica has not focused on that enough. We need to shift that, but we cannot depend only on the government. Just to give you some quick stats or anything about it, Hope Gardens is one of the oldest botanical gardens in the Caribbean. It is not the oldest, but one of the oldest. It is the largest in the Caribbean. So not just the largest in Kingston or Jamaica, the largest botanical gardens in the Caribbean. And it's the first one to be named Royal in the Caribbean. We were the first. So again, we as Jamaicans love to be first. I think we need to keep that. It's an important green space. It's still free. It's available to everybody. This is not just an uptown place. The zoo has been rebuilt and redone. I've been there and I enjoy it. So we need green space. And developing Jamaica cannot just be roads and infrastructure. We need that. We have to invest in roads. We have to invest in infrastructure. We have to invest in water. We have to invest in people, but we have to invest in green space. The green spaces help to keep the city cool, but it's good for biodiversity. Jamaica has more than 3,000 endemic species here of plants. We need to make sure we protect that. But of course, it's good for mental health, for the space. Kids and families have somewhere that is safe for them to go and spend time. A bunch of us used to do picnics, or probably still do picnics there and hang out. So we cannot live in a concrete jungle. And so whatever you can do, we want to start getting the word out. I posted the link, the YouTube link in the chat to the TVJ story. You can share that story on WhatsApp and get the word out. But it's going to be an ongoing campaign. It's not just the next 30 days. We want to hit the target of 550,000 US in whatever time it takes. And the next time in Jamaica, please come visit Hope Gardens. Trust me, you'll be very surprised. And I look forward to us playing a role as the diaspora. We have some pockets. I know our pockets can be up and down, but when we have and we're able to give, I think we should give, no matter how small it is.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. I should I should let you know, guys, that I actually had a running group in Jamaica and it started at Hope Gardens. So it's funny that we should be connecting the dots here with our 5K. But David, thank you so much for taking the lead with that. And we really support. Very good presentation, as always. Blue Mahoe, also one of the sponsors in the past for the 5K. And for the Diaspora Conference, which takes place June 14th to 18th, and I remember we're bringing a contingent from the region to the Diaspora Conference. And producer, if you can just put in the text, how people can register for the conference, I would appreciate that. But again, thank you very much, David, for that. And I didn't
CG,
tell Nicholas.
before you move on, CG, bringing up 5K, the Texas and the Georgia people are complaining that there's no Texas or Georgia locations on the High Five site. So
All right, so
the site is coming soon, so we anticipate the links will be there soon.
And for all of those who want to get involved with the Hope Gardens Blue Mahoe effort, if you go in the chat, you'll see the links for those as well.
Beautiful.
Link to register for the conference. In the link, those people who have not yet done so, put that in the link to register.
So this is for the Jamaica Diaspora Conference?
Instagram. Yeah, Diaspora Conference.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
And
all right, everyone.
And, yeah.
Okay, so I'll put a little bit of the 11th final Jamaica Diaspora Conference will be held in June, right, Consul General?
Yeah, so it's June 14th to 18th in Montego Bay. It's the 11th biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference. You do not want to miss it. It is impactful for you, both as an individual or your organization or whatever group you're involved in. You want to be a part of it. It's chock full of information on the various sectors, different investment opportunities, information on health, education, security, everything you need to know about Jamaica in one great conference. But perhaps the biggest benefit is to connect with Jamaicans from all over the world who gather in Montego Bay and carry your family. You can go to a hotel and have a good time with the family as well while you attend the conference, and expand you both as an individual and whatever project that you are up to individually. And then on the 19th, 14th, right, on the 19th, there's a Diaspora Day of Service. We will have the High Five will be doing some work there as with one of the clinics. We will also be building a house from one of our projects with the gospel concerts that we did with Bishop Fernandez, raised 150,000. So we are building 4 houses initially, but one of the houses will be built at that time during the Diaspora Conference. So persons who want to physically go and be a part of building a house, you can do that as well. So for those who have never been, by the way, did anybody register while we are talking? Anybody registered so we can acknowledge them? No? All right.
Well, I can tell you the Texans and the Georgians wanted to register, but because they didn't see the link, they didn't. Specifically, Rohan Green wanted to register, but he didn't see Atlanta link. And from Texas, was it from Texas?
I think we have a question from Mr. Sutherland. Jason?
What's that?
Can I ask him to unmute? Mr. Sutherland? Yes, we hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to say that I really got to run, but I want to thank CG Mair again for inviting me and having me here. And I also want to mention and recognize Mr. David Mullings' contribution to Hope Guards. And I've run into him quite a bit in the past 6 to 8 months in Jamaica. I see David doing a lot of things here, moving and shaking. Not only as a businessman, but as a great corporate Jamaican citizen. We see each other quite a bit, and I keep telling him kudos on his achievements and accomplishments. And I think we should all David, we're all very proud of you and what you're doing.
Definitely.
So keep it up.
Homegrown talent here in the community, David, and thank you for
again. Sorry to leave so early, guys, but I really got
before you go,
thank you, Mr. Sutherland.
Yes.
Before you go, I want to thank you as well for the work, how you have been supportive to us in the community and in the consulate. Always a phone call away. And I want to thank you, sir, for the work you continue to do at Jampro. This was a very good, short, very impactful presentation. So I want to use the opportunity to invite you back. And I'm sure you put your contact information in the group so that the persons can reach out to you. I'm sure they'll reach out to you. And I want to make sure that you will come to our 5K as well. Nick, be there as well. I see one person is registering. The
Yeah.
wife of Philip Rose, the deputy director of tourism, my cousin Natalie, is registering. She quickly wrote in there she's registering. So Natalie is going to be the only person on the call today who registered. I'm going to wait until she says registered. But just to remind everybody that by next week, we're making a promise. By next week, the Houston run will be up for you to register. Omaha is registering. All right. As you register, put registered. Good. Houston will be up, Atlanta will be up, and Tampa will be up. All right. The Josh is responsible for putting up the information, and he says he's working on it as we speak. So we are committing to have those up next week so persons can register to be a part of this run. It's a 7th staging of the 5K. And the 5K is not just about the 6 clinics that we have adopted. More importantly, it's about us as a community taking our health more seriously. Guys, you could have all the wealth in the world. If you don't have your personal health, you're really you're really poor, right? So and
Health
if
is
you have,
wealth.
health is wealth. All right.
Mhm.
So guys,
All
let's do that. All right. So back
And
to you,
all right.
Dr.
Yes,
Jones.
thank you.
Yes.
So before we close, I just want to give a shout out to Valerie Simpson, former executive for Broward County Library Services. And we have
Karen Green, Dr. Karen Green, welcome to the call. Thank you for joining us and all the work you've done with the hurricane relief and the work you're doing with the agriculture sector in Jamaica.
yes. And we have Pauline Ford. If we can have a time for just one quick comment before we close with a prayer.
Charles Spence from Air Jamaica Days, lecturer at in the school system. Welcome to the call, sir.
Okay, we'll ask you to unmute, Ms. Ford. You see something that's asking you to unmute?
Okay, there you go. Just
Oh.
real quick, the last time I was on the call, I reached out to someone who had a contact from Monroe College because we had collected some money that we wanted to donate. And my thanks to Daphne Edwards, because Daphne came through and put me in touch with the college, and the check is going down tomorrow. That's all I wanted to share.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. I want to quickly, I just forgive me, co-host. Thanks for always keeping us in check. Patrice White will be one of our lecturers at lecture series. She is one of the finest fitness gurus to come out of Jamaica. She trained all the athletes, all the artists, Elephant Man and everybody like that. And she's going to be one of our, she's on the call today. She will be one of our lecturers for our monthly lecture series, which we will Zoom for everybody to watch. I wanted to recognize her as well. Sunlas Martin, doing excellent work at the port, always supporting us, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here. Sean and Christy for the production, your production work each week. The our production team, which puts together this call every single week. I want to thank you all, Jason, the entire team, Cheryl Winter. Thank you so much, and of course my able co-host, who will now close us out. Thank you so much, Dr. Jones, for your ongoing support.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Who would like to close in prayer? Who will volunteer? Miss Carlene Rose, would you like to be the one?
I'd ask Sheikah to
Yes?
do it.
Oh,
Sheikah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sheik already? Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. It's funny, the more I'm ready, the more I'm nervous. It's so weird. All right, so I'm gonna register for the 5K, just so you know, but I'm not sure if I'm working or running. So you have to let me know if I'm gonna be playing music or running. All
Either way
right.
you register. Either way you register.
All
And
right.
is there, before you pray, has anybody fully registered? Because I want to just call you out if you have fully registered. Did anybody fully registered?
I was using
Natalie, Omar.
Stuart Crooks, fully registered.
Who's that?
Stuart Crooks.
Stuart Crooks. Let's
Natalie
give some
Rose.
claps. Let's give some claps to Stuart Crooks. Natalie Rose. Let's give them some claps in the chat. Omaha, did Omaha fully register?
Omar Stevenson fully registered.
Let's give them some clap, guys. We appreciate it. 3 people registered on the call. We're gonna do this every week. This is what it's about. It's about community. Thank you very much for your support. I hope I didn't miss anybody who registered today. All right, back to you, Shika.
And Shika.
Shika?
Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So I'll be short and sweet since we ran out of time here. All right. So, Father God, thank you very much for having us each and every Wednesday to share this love and this great energy with positive people, intelligence, information, anything that will make life better for everyone, not just for us in this group, but for the world all over. Not just the Caribbean will reap what we're sowing here. It will be a worldwide effect. I pray for those that suffered from the hurricane, and may God bless them more and more as we have people that are out there are still willing and out there working real hard to bring life back to Jamaica. I will be there next week, by the way, so if you need my help, let me know. And I would love to share my gratitude for being a part of this forum each and every Wednesday. I am learning a lot. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity to meet great people. I do truly believe that God put people in our places for a time and a season and divine timing. And I want to thank God for the right time. Bless Miss Dr. Grant for always, Dr. Jones, right? For always being on point, and her support and her backbone to this group every week. May you always stay blessed and truly favored. Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Amen.
Mashika. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time, next Wednesday. It's a weekly call, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time. Thank you so much.
And
Take care.
At some point,
Thank
we need
you.
to pray for the reggae boys.
Right. Thanks, everyone.